Remember that day when Teams 8 and 9 went out on their first mission? Well, Team 10 went out on their first mission as well, so let's take a quick peek at what they got up to. What they got up to was boring. Their first several missions were D-rank missions that didn't venture far beyond the village. These were all within expectations for my guy and allowed him to focus on taijutsu training for everyone. He explained to them that their fellow teams were out on a long, difficult mission, so they too need to train equally to keep up. The missions they go on are what you'd expect from D-ranked Naruto missions. Picking weeds and such, finding lost animals. As for their specialized training, Guy wants Rock Lee to feel some level of competition where he can compete, and sets to raising the taijutsu bar for Kiba and Ino. Nearly 2 weeks pass of several easy missions when finally Minato gives them something out of the ordinary. Minato tells Guy that they received a special assignment from a VIP in the village. The mission is quite minor in magnitude, but that they're crossing a couple borders into the Land of Wind. Stopping mid-sentence, Minato decides to let the VIP explain the assignment. Entering the room is none other than Orochimaru. Orochimaru tells them that he needs a particular flower picked for his experiments, but they only grow in the Land of Wind, in desert locations. Minato tells them that regardless of which country they're visiting, leaving the country borders requires 2 teams to travel together. However, in this case, Orochimaru has volunteered to go instead of a full squad. The Sannin are just as powerful as in canon, so Orochimaru definitely stands as a one-man squad. Kiba nonchalantly asks why they need to go too if the man giving the assignment is going. This is kind of dickish, as Orochimaru is the rarest to be seen Sannin, and it's exciting just to meet him. But Orochimaru laughs at him and tells him he's going for a distinctly different matter that they can't offer any help for. As they begin their trek, they note that Orochimaru is entirely disinterested in their small talk and if anything is repulsed by Guy's high energy positivity. When Guy suggests a race so they can cover more ground quicker, not only is Ino unenthused, but Orochimaru declares with finality that he's in no rush. So while they walk, Might Guy challenges his genin to walking activities, such as whether Ino can use her mind transfer jutsu, which she calls a ridiculous idea. To show that he can do that very trick, Might Guy uses the summoning jutsu to pull out his tortoise. While Ino says that a summoning jutsu is nothing like the mind transfer, Kiba gets really interested in the tortoise that Guy is summoned. Aha! Meet Ningame! Guy laughs with vigor, putting on a silly show to reveal the tortoise, despite the tortoise already being there the whole time. Kiba asks how someone goes about making a contract with an animal to then summon them. Guy tells him that he discovered the tortoises in his youth by chance while on a mission. Though some animals offer their contracts to villages so that ninja can contact and eventually sign contracts with them. He cites Kakashi's ninja dogs, which would likely be a natural contract for Kiba to sign if he were interested. Kiba nods, already well aware of the ninja dogs, but he's still fascinated by Guy's summon. There are those out there in the world who manage to sign contracts with multiple animals, Orochimaru says, suddenly walking beside them. It wouldn't be a stretch to aspire to such. Without prompting, Orochimaru summons the summoning ritual himself and summons a snake with the girth of Akamaru, much to the puppy's displeasure. He explains that the snakes he's in contract with are rather violent and have quick tempers, that signing a contract with multiple animals comes with strengths but weaknesses as well. Some animals you just couldn't get along with. While Kiba oddly parts off to talk to Orochimaru about summons, Guy gets distracted by Rock Lee, who is becoming more and more restless for direction. Thinking for a moment, Guy glances at Ino, who is now meeting his eyes uneasily. He asks Ino which chakra nature she's predisposed for, and she says water. My Guy tells her that someone with the water nature can create water in an environment where there is none. Despite having no water affinity himself, he challenges her to produce as much water as she can while they walk. The basic nature training that genin get in Academy is which element they're predisposed for, as well as a couple basic jutsu to help them practice it. While Ino gets used to conjuring water, Guy meets Rock Lee personally in taijutsu training. It's just a few days before the group arrives at the destination, and Orochimaru gives them a reminder of what the flower looks like and where it grows. They ask him when he needs to leave for his personal task, and he tells them that he will be nearby should any questions arise during their search before he vanishes in a puff of smoke. Might Guy's eyes narrow for a second. Orochimaru was traveling with them as a clone? But for how long? Despite needing to complete their gathering mission, Guy continues to challenge the others to little training tasks, such as getting Ino to try and conjure water in the dry desert heat. He also tells the boys that he'll reward whichever one gathers the most flowers by the end of the hour as a source of friendly competition. When Kiba sends Akamaru separately to help his picking speed, Might Guy spurs Rock Lee on for the greater challenge as even better training. As the boys run off, Guy turns back to Ino, who's stopped to try to conjure water. She's got the right form and concentration, and she's making the odd grunt of effort. The rock she's standing on goes from bone dry to having a smattering of moisture across its surface, but in the desert heat it evaporates in seconds. Finally releasing her concentration, Ino groans and says it's impossible to summon water here, clearly unaware that she had succeeded, if only slightly. Might Guy tells her to leave the flower picking to the boys and lets her rest in the rock's shade. He was impressed enough that she was able to conjure water in the forest on the way to the desert. That she would succeed again in one of the most difficult environments just sends possibilities flying in Might Guy's head. It was a huge success too, even if it was just condensation at best. He wonders if she tries hard like Rock Lee or if she simply has great chakra control. While they wait for the boys to return, they hear a deep echo of rocks breaking in the distance, in the direction that Rock Lee went. Guy tells Ino to watch where he goes, and if Kiba comes back to lead him to the sound as well. With that, Guy takes off in the direction of the sound alone. As he crests a hill, he sees Rock Lee battered against two unknown assailants. Not hesitating even a moment, Guy leaps to intercept, causing the two attackers to hesitate. One is young, no older than Rock Lee, but the other is clearly an adult, and upon their forehead protectors, Guy realizes where they are from. Nowhere. Their forehead protectors don't have any village insignias inscribed onto them. They're unmarked. When Might Guy demands to know where they're from to challenge a leaf shinobi so freely, they just look at each other before leaping to attack him. They attack simultaneously from either direction. Might Guy bats away the kid with ease and catches the adult's arm with his other hand. The collision sounds reverberations through Might Guy's bones and the world goes topsy-turvy. However, Might Guy is a taijutsu master and the imbalance doesn't slow him down even for a moment, as he slams his other fist into the ninja's chest. When he turns to check on the kid, he finds himself standing in a forest, and even the desert heat seems to have gone away. Upon attempt to dispel the genjutsu, Might Guy sees reality for just a moment before the genjutsu reapplies. Understanding what's required, Might Guy begins to rhythmically surge chakra throughout his body to constantly dispel the repeatedly reapplying genjutsu. This allows him to see minute glimpses of the world and his opponents moving around him. However, Might Guy doesn't have very good chakra control, and he can't keep this up for long. Jumping to Rock Lee's side, Ino and Kiba try to help him up, but he's clearly caught in some sort of genjutsu. Ino then looks up at Kiba and he's also in a daze, seemingly immediately. Holding her breath, Ino glances around at the two unmarked ninja who seem no worse for wear despite just challenging Might Guy to a melee. She can't rely on her possession jutsu while working alone, and she can't very well abandon her comrades, among whom even a Jonin was incapacitated. With all the breath she has left in her lungs, she screams, "Help us, Lord Orochimaru!" Not even an instant passes, and Orochimaru is standing beside her, a little snake sliding off her arm and vanishing from a finished summoning. Walking beside Guy, Orochimaru chuckles at his predicament and taps him on the shoulder, waking the Jonin from his stupor. "Breathe, girl," Orochimaru allows, looking at the two unmarked ninja, calling them a waste of energy. Orochimaru explains that the kid used some sort of scent to enrapture them in a genjutsu. He could taste it without having to draw breath. Guy tells him to keep them alive so the leaf can interrogate them as to why they're wearing unmarked bands. Orochimaru says that they're so weak that it'll be hard not to kill them, and all it takes is a look at the kid to make him fall unconscious. But this is of course the death stare Orochimaru is known for, instilling enough fear into someone to make them fall unconscious. I don't know if that could be called a genjutsu, or if death stares are even a kind of ninjutsu. High-pitched ringing, like a wall, hits the team together, and as they recover from the blast, they see that a third, unmarked shinobi has appeared and has collected the boy. Without uttering a single word, all three retreat as fast as they can. "Forget the flowers," Orochimaru hisses. "I'll collect these ninja. Report back to Konoha and tell Minato about these ninja." Before my guy can say anything, Orochimaru sprints after the three escaping shinobi. "You can leave the rest to Lord Orochimaru," Guy says, but even his voice has doubt. Not doubt in Orochimaru's ability, but rather a question about what just happened. Might Guy is not one to interact with Orochimaru and isn't at all accustomed to his unpredictability. In fact, few in the village ever interact with Orochimaru. It's somewhat unprecedented that he even gave the Leaf a mission to hand out. Might Guy had no doubt that Orochimaru had lackeys of his own that could have been able to do the assignment. But when the Hokage gives you a mission assigned by a Sannin, you don't exactly ask questions. Despite Orochimaru's orders, he has the genin gather up the flowers properly before turning to head back to the village. They were now breaking village-mandated rules of traveling as a single squad outside the country, but Might Guy found himself between a rock and a hard place. Listen to a Sannin's orders or follow the village's mandate. They asked Ino how Orochimaru knew where they were, and she said she just called for his help. She couldn't tell whether the snake that was on her summoned him or was some version of him. She shivers, cringing at the thought of snakes on her, as well as how someone creepy like Orochimaru could be so obsessed with them. Kiba follows her logic and decides himself to call for Orochimaru's help. In another explosion of smoke, Orochimaru appears beside them, kind of startled, and looks down at Kiba. "Why?" he asks in a whisper at Kiba, anger like acid spitting from his lips. Just a test?" Kiba answers uncertainly, whimpering away from Orochimaru. Orochimaru tells them that the further he chased the unmarked ninja, the more appeared to show up to help them. By the time of Kiba's untimely summoning, Orochimaru was facing against 12 unmarked ninja that all seemed to use some sort of misdirecting trickery in their attacks. He figures he was getting closer to the hideout, judging by the density of shinobi showing up. When they get back to Konoha, he would let Jiraiya do the reconnaissance. He was willing to do everything himself, but someone summoned him away. Every time Orochimaru mentions his unplanned summoning, Kiba whimpers and tries to apologize. He then systematically retrieves his remaining snakes from Guy and Rock Lee, not wanting to risk another incident in the future. He tells them that snakes are very versatile, from offensive power to stealth work. These little snakes are specifically contracted to him so that they can summon him to their place at any time should the right request be uttered. In this case, the request for help. He also explains that he could have summoned them all to him if he felt it necessary. However, the snakes are only good for one summon and then they die, lending the team to gasping for the sake of the little snakes. Orochimaru rolls his eyes and tells them they need to accept the harsh reality of death. If the war becomes as violent as it once was, they were going to lose everyone they loved, not some stupid little snakes that only have one purpose. On their return trip, Guy has Ino use everything at her disposal to try and hit Rock Lee while he is tasked specifically with evading everything, much like how their training exercise worked when the team first formed. And so Ino doesn't just use taijutsu, but the limited water jutsu she knows, like water bullets, which I think are called water-style gunshots in the anime. That's stupid, there are no guns here. Where would they get the reference? Bullets though, even the rocks used in a slingshot could be referred to as a bullet technically, so I'm a little more lenient on that one. After Orochimaru returned to indifference, Kiba started asking him further questions about summoning and how someone could sign contracts with opposite animal factions. He cites how the slugs of Lady Tsunade are gentle and helpful, and like Orochimaru stated before, snakes are aggressive and violent. Orochimaru repeats what he said before, that for prolific summoners, they usually have to decide which factions they want, rather than strive to have both. He tells Kiba that it's good to have high aspirations, and for an Inuzuka it'll be easy for him to sign with the ninja dogs. However, he continues on to say that the ninja dogs would probably have problems with him signing contracts with other animals, regardless of what they were. In general, animal factions just don't like to mix. Kiba is undeterred and resolves to talk to his sister about the ninja dogs when they get back to the village. And this marks the end of the episode. I tried to incorporate some intrigue into this one, as you may have noticed. For the most part, I don't plan on creating new characters from scratch, so the unmarked ninja who attack them are actual characters that exist in canon, though I've changed how their techniques work slightly. Orochimaru is meant to be mysterious in everything he says and does. So if you're left feeling unsatisfied with what he said or did, well, that's just how he is. He doesn't see any need to share everything with everyone. He's a Sannin, and he sees himself as one of the most powerful Leaf Shinobi, if not the most powerful. As to Team 10, I wanted to give each of them a bit of a highlight in some way, but it's frankly kind of hard for Rock Lee. While I have long-term plans for him, in the short term as everyone's training to get better, it's hard to figure out neat little tricks with a pure taijutsu specialist. I think elaborating on his training would make more sense on the visual medium, but with just words, describing different stances that he's training in can only get one so far, right? Anyway, enough enumerating about Rock Lee's challenges. I'm off for a week to travel and celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving with the family, so no episodes for 1 week. Apologies. After that, it'll be back to the grindstone, and this story's just starting for real. We've now discussed 3 of the 4 teams. I wonder what's left. The possibilities are endless for where I'll take this one, and that's why I always say, the sky's the limit.